Hi, everyone. It's Dave Mathis with Lessons for Life with a great program tonight. I'm not going to take any time here at all. I'm going to bring on the screen my good friend, the Reverend Jeff Botsford. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing, Dave?
Can I call you a Reverend, or do you want to be called Pastor, or do you want to be called Jeff?
Jeff is fine.
Hey, great. Because we've been good friends for years. We lived right down the street, and I used to go to Jeff's church. He was my pastor at one time. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, that was. We had a great time. You did a great job teaching, and it was a exciting few years.
It was. I miss you. But here we are again, just in different places. And I want to just start out by letting you know that this is a very important program for all of you that are out there. We've done a lot about marriage on our programs, but we never have dedicated a whole program for married folks that is going to give you tips on how to start a spark in your marriage that I'll guarantee you, if you listen carefully, will turn into a bonfire. So I'm going to get right into it if I can. We always start with the person we're talking to, their favorite Bible verse. And Jeff's got a real bouncy, joyful one. So let's start out with that. Okay, Jeff?
Sounds great. The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save you. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exalt you over you with loud singing.
There's a lot of good words there. Why is that important to you?
It's upbeat. It's happy. It shows God in a different light versus kind of being boring and just kind of in the back scene. He's actually with us, dancing. He loves us. And that verse quickly became my favorite.
So, in other words, this verse can tell us that God would like us to have a good time in our marriage, right?
Exactly.
Okay, now here's what I've heard. And since you know more about it than I do, and you've done marriage seminars, I just heard that men and women think different. And I haven't just heard that. I've been married for close to 60 years, and I've experienced that we are different. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I think it begins with their brain. Men have boxes in their brain, and every box is different. And when they want to talk about something, they bring out one box, read what's in the box, and they put it back. Women have a ball of wire, and the wire is always connected to another wire. So with this one topic, you could get 14 or 15 different wires going at one time because their brains are different than ours. And their brain never shuts down. It's always running. Where we have what's called the nothing box, the men do, where you can just kind of stare out the middle of nowhere and just be content. The nothing box is our favorite box, and we like to go to as often as we can.
Now, I've noticed, if you don't mind, I'm going to be honest. First, I want to tell you, that we have a very successful marriage, but like everybody else you're talking about, I seem to have the same problem. I try and talk to my wife, and then she responds, and I'm not listening. I'm just being honest with you. And then she'll say, "What did I say?" And I'll just say, "I said I agree," and I end up with something I never agreed to. Is that common? Is that common?
Yeah, that's very common because guys, because of how we're wired, and we're very one person or one item focused. If you're watching the game, you're so intent. Your wife can say the house is on fire, and you wouldn't catch it. Women can do multiple things at one time and do them very well, but guys can't do that. It's just focus. And if your spouse wants to get your attention or say something, like what happened with you, Dave, it happens to me a lot. I catch maybe the last couple words, and then I'll say yes, and I'm wondering, what did I just agree to? And sometimes she'll ask, what did I just say? And then I'm sunk because I didn't really hear what you said. And
well, I never saw that with you when you lived here. You were always perfect. So behind closed doors, you have the same problem that I do. Now I got some things to ask, and I know our time is limited. I'm just really interested. I've set this program up as a way to put spark in your marriage, knowing that our brains are different. Can you give me the first clue you can think of that maybe I can use to maybe get over that and put a spark in my marriage?
Yeah, I think a real easy way that a couple can do that, and it takes time and takes some practice. And somehow, if you blow some of the things we're going to talk about, it's okay. We always blow stuff. Just come back and just work on it. But the one thing you can do, and it's free, is when sometime in the evening, pick a night, whatever works best for you. Maybe later on the night, the kids are in bed or they're doing something, and just sit down, cup of coffee, Pepsi, whatever you like to have. No cell phone, nothing to distract you. TV is off, you're someplace secluded, and just talk. Sometimes people want to have a pre topic, like maybe retirement, where they want to live when they get older, whatever. It's just time to look in each other's eyes, and that's a key. You don't stare at someone's eyes, that's kind of creepy, but you just make sure you're looking at her eyes and she'll look at you. And it's easy for a woman to do that. If you begin to kind of look around and she can tell if she's lost you, you're dazed, that that hurts her in a way that we don't understand as guys. It's like we're not respecting her. We don't care for her. They take it differently because they're made different than we are.
Let me see if I got this so far. I'm writing this down now, and I'm going to try it with Dottie. That's my wife, and she won't listen to this program for another week yet. So hey, maybe it'll work. You said that talk to her about finding a time where we can get away from everything and sit at the table, get a cup of coffee, and just listen. Nothing else going on. Listen, and listen with your eyes. Am I repeating this the right way?
Yeah, he did real well.
Good. I was listening to you that same way you told me to listen to my wife. Now, how do I pick a topic? I mean, a lot of times my wife will say, let's talk, and I can't figure out what to talk about. I mean, if you're put in the spot, I'm not going to ask her about a vacation. How do I pick a topic, or does she pick a topic to talk about?
You want to do that ahead of time. Otherwise, you're both staring at each other, wondering what do we talk about, and it ends up being awkward. Whatever's happening in your life, wherever you're in your life, that's something that's interesting to both of you. Bring that up, and it's nothing that's deep or where you really need to see a counselor. Something light. It just to start the conversation going back and forth, and eventually you'll get used to that. And then the day you and the hour you pick will be something you look forward to, because then you can begin to share things with your wife um, that she'd like to hear, and you understand more of how she is. Because men and women are so different. I entitled this thing "How to Stay Married, Not Kill Anybody," because marriage is such an incredible thing, and it can be. And your marriage that you're working on as you're watching this and you practice some of this stuff, you'll see a difference.
And I think that's a good place for us to start, at least as we get this program. Um, a lot of things we're going to tell you tonight, or I know Jeff's going to tell you tonight, are things that are going to seem awkward at first. But they're only awkward if you only try them once. Because the more you try them, the better you get. And our homework tonight is just listen to some of the things that Pastor Jess says, pick out a couple and try them and do them more than once. Am I saying that right?
Exactly.
Okay, now I heard from you something when you were talking to me earlier about a way to listen. You demonstrated with a pen.
Yes.
Do you mind telling us about that? Because I thought that would help them listen.
Yeah, I'd love to. You get with your spouse or your husband in a place, no cell phones. I'm really big on that. Cup of coffee or soda, quiet, no TV, no kids, and you use anything. It's called the floor, is what it's technically called, but you can use a pen like this, and the wife will go first, and you talk about something that is like, where do we want to go on vacation? What do you want to do? That's the topic. She goes first, and this is what she'll say. Yes, I'd love to go to on vacation. I want to go to Florida. I want to go to Disneyland, SeaWorld, and I want to go to the coast and just be able to relax in the sun and enjoy the sand. Now, you take that pen and you give it to your spouse. His job is to repeat what you just said. So I hear that you want to go to Florida. You want to go to Sandy Beach and SeaWorld and Disneyland. Is that about right? And she would say, yes. And that's all there's to it. And then she would say a little bit more about it. Then he'd have a chance to talk. his side of it, and it's a little awkward. But the key is to get guys to listen, and women too. But typically, we're the ones that don't pay attention real well, and it helps us focus on what is being said because we have to repeat it. So we got to remember it.
You know, I'm thinking in terms of, as you talk, my own experiences. I have a rough time listening. I wish I had a pen every time my wife spoke to me because I get the first couple of words out and that's about it. And then I don't even remember. And so she'll say to me a day later, yesterday I asked if you take this and do this in the house. And you said yes, and you didn't do it. What happened? Well, I didn't listen. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I'm giving my experiences, and I bet as a pastor, you've run across that too. Is that right?
Yeah, it's happened to me and to a lot of people because the guy's focused on one thing, whatever that may be. It could be a paper, and if you focus on the newspaper, and you try to get his attention, he'll just kind of back the paper even more. I don't know why we do that, but it happens. It happens a lot, and we don't mean to tune our wives out. We think we're listening, but we don't catch it. And this is something I didn't share earlier. Women remember something if you attach a feeling with it. Like if something is nice is said, they'll attach it to their heart is a feeling thing. Guys just don't do it because we don't care. Women are really good at that, and we're not so much. So unless something is really attached to like your inside or whatever, however you would mention that, doesn't stick with us.
Okay, listening. That's really good. Now I understand that we've covered this. One is have a time where you talk over coffee. Two, use the pen. And now I want to ask something else, and I think a lot of people may have these questions. We have an audience, maybe some young parents with kids, and they miss the dating life. They do. And it tied in the woman, if she isn't working, is tied into the house all day long, or the guy is, and they miss the joys that they had when they were dating. Is that a common problem as you run across?
Yeah, it is. Sometimes the wife, if she works, sometimes they work two jobs, at home and out of the home. But if she's in the home, she's there by herself. She may have little kids. It's not being a mother, from my point of view of how I see it, it's really tough. And it's good to have good friends, and you can get that going to a church that you're familiar with or someplace. Sometimes it's fun to have why our kids swap off so that way you don't have babysitting price cost, and just go and get your hair done, get your nails done, just to get out of the house, and then it makes you come back and you're able to handle the responsibilities of being a mother and a wife because you've done something for yourself.
Wow, that sounds. Let's see now. Personally, when I was younger and a newlywed and I had kids, I used to get a babysitter. That time it was my parents. And once a week on a Friday, even today, we go out and have a good time. It refreshes us. Do you have any other tips on that at all? Because people are going to say, I don't have money to buy a babysitter. I don't have money to go out. What do you tell people? They all agree they need to get out. They just can't afford it and they can't get a babysitter.
Well, that can be challenging. Sometimes I recommend people go out for breakfast because you can eat at McDonald's even or someplace like that. It's not the greatest, but you're getting out. You're getting a chance to talk and just communicate with people. And if you have trouble with the babysitters, if you can't swap with people in your church or neighbors that they will swap kids back and forth for free, I'd really pray about it. God will bring somebody in your heart, in your life, because He cares for you. He cares for your mental health. He wants you to enjoy life to the fullest, being married and having wonderful kids.
Well, what I don't want to do, Jeff, is leave people feeling hopeless. Now, sometimes we say these things and they say, I'm not going to try that. I can't afford it. But if there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
And your marriage is important. Do you have any statistics of people that stay married? What are some of the stats today of marriages that really work? Do you know?
I think if they stay with the church and they're involved, the stats, I don't have the exact amount, but they're really high. But those that are on their own, stats are staggering. about the high amount of people that get divorced. Or a lot of folks now are just living together because they don't want to go through the trauma or the pain of going through the marriage thing again and breaking up. And that's a day for another topic. But God cares for these types of things. But get involved in the church, wherever that would be that you feel comfortable with. If you're married, get the whole family there, because that can change everything. When you're around Christian people, you'll see that people have problems just like you. They'll have challenges, and you'll get some encouraging messages from the pulpit. You'll be able to praise God, and it can change the complexity of everything. It's not simple. It's hard. I got that, but it works.
I can say this, that I basically follow many of the things that you're doing. We've had a successful marriage, but I run across a lot of people that I counsel that aren't even talking to each other anymore. They've tried the ways they think are going to work, and they failed. So what do they have to lose by trying some of these tips that you're giving us, which sets me up for you to give me another tip to put fire in their marriage? Go away, Jeff. Go away. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I think something, and it's very cheap, and we did this and it works, is we live in Upper Michigan, near Ludington is where I'm located at. And we love to take our kids, especially when they're little, and we've done it with the grandkids, is when it gets dark, not dark, I mean, just it's starting to get dark, take the kids and just go out in the country and look for deer. And that sounds like a goofy thing, but the kids love it. And it's good for the husband and wife, because they're looking around for deer too. You end up counting rabbits, cows, whatever's out there, they'll count. And then you end up either ice cream at an ice cream shop if anything's open close, or you come home for ice cream. And it's just a good family time, getting together, laughing, and just enjoying being together as a group. Because kids are involved in so many activities. I feel sorry for parents now with what all that's going on, but they can make it work. And like what you said, Dave, if it's important, they'll make it work. They can fit it in somehow. They got to spend time with your family with no cell phones.
I'm glad you slipped that in, because the first couple that you gave were how the husband and wife work together. But to have a successful family and have the spark in your marriage, the husband and the wife have to be involved in looking for deer or whatever it might be. Thanks for slipping, making people realize putting a spark in your marriage also means putting family activities up there somewhere. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Yes.
I'm ready. I don't know how many you have, but I got some minutes left here on our program, and I'm taking all these down. Do you have another thing that parents and children can do to put that spark, that bonfire back in the marriage?
Yeah. One more thing, and I'll try to make it quick. It kind of goes back with the tale of two brains, how women think and guys think, but how women and men handle stress. And some couples don't get this, but as soon as you get that in your marriage, you can understand, you can avoid a lot of disastrous times. Example, women, they talk more. We talked about that. When something happens or something stressful or an event happens, they want to talk to the husband, and he doesn't want to talk. He wants to get away, wants to think about whatever it is, evaluate what he said, what she said, what's right, what's wrong. And then later on, he wants to come together and then talk about it. And it really can cause friction. So realize sometimes the guy just has to get away and think about what's going on. If you're having a discussion or if there's stress, she wants to talk. Maybe she can call a friend and talk to somebody, or just wait until he comes back. And then they can talk about whatever it might be, because it's stressful things can really be a great time for couples to come together and share their pain, their challenges, and to listen. And for a guy, just to listen.
That's a problem that I've had in the past. I want to come home as soon as I get out of the car and tell my wife about all the problems I had at work. If she brings up a problem, I'm going to interrupt and tell her, "Did you hear about this one that happened at work?" Is that a common thing?
Yeah, it is. And if a guy or girl is not careful, it discounts what you said. If you talked about things at work were hectic, and then it's kind of like one-upmanship, and she does the same. That breaks down communication, because it can't go anywhere from there. When your spouse or you come back and you can work with your wife, and then other people can do the same. Just mention to them, when I share this, You don't have to say anything. I just need to get it off my chest. And they'll understand. My guys and girls, they're different. And so when you come back and say, tell Dottie, oh, man, had a bad day or whatever it was, and then she'll know just to listen. Doesn't need to say anything and just let you vent. And then if she's had a tough day, once you've had time to vent your stuff, then she can do the same. And then your marriage can blossom because you really communicate and you're avoiding some friction that some couples are going through.
I would think that things you're talking about hit every man and every woman that's married that's watching this program. I don't think you said anything that anybody's in their marriage couldn't improve upon. So I compliment you for that. Do you have another tip at all we can use?
Yeah, this is a little bit different, but it's something that I've seen. Ideally, it's great the husband and wife and kids go to church. Find a good church. Look around if you have to find one that you feel comfortable with, and then get involved and get involved in what's going on. But for those folks that are married, and let's say the husband won't go to church, what does the wife do? She needs to go to church. Get the kids or whatever it may be, get there because she's got to get to hear, the word of God. She needs to have a chance to sing some great praise music, be around other fellow believers that kind of can help her, and vice versa. If the girl won't go, guy's got to go. I've came to that conclusion a while back, and that can help people with their spiritual life. And I've seen people when the husband or wife goes, eventually the other spouse will come, and oftentimes they'll accept Christ, and the whole family is changed.
That's really good advice. I'm a pastor too, and I run across people like that. In fact, we had one lady in our church that for the whole time she was married, went to church, and he wouldn't go. Until toward the end of their marriage, he finally went. Have you seen that too?
Yes, I have.
So what a miracle that is. And
Yeah.
going back and forth like we're going for is really good therapy for me too. You're making me think about my marriage.
One thing that I'll share, Dave, before we have to cut off, is I've seen couples do this, is when you get in or something happened and you get into discussion, you get in a fight. Okay, it's not a big thing, but something is forgiven maybe 2 months ago, a month ago, something happened and she or he forgave what happened. Well, when you get into discussion, what you can never do, and this is one of those really big, should be the top 11, just top 10 commandments, never bring up the past. It's gone. What he did or she did, whenever that was, it's over with. Don't bring that quiver out and take a shot at your spouse because maybe you're losing the argument. Find out what's going on, what's my part in this discussion, and how can I make it better?
What great advice. Now, we're going to start concluding. Don't go away because we're going to help you get some more advice. First off, you told me that there's a film out that covers the same, or something on YouTube that covers the same thing that you've been talking about, tips for marriage. Who's it by? And it's actually one of his seminars, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Mark Gungor, and it's you can go YouTube. I think it's going to be on your website. It's about 2 hours, a little longer than I thought. If it's too long, just watch half of it one night. But it's hilarious. And it's a way to laugh at yourself because the differences we have, male and female, he goes through that and you're cracking up laughing because he uses humor to get a good point across of how women and men.
Going across the screen right now in YouTube, Mark Gungor, there's a spelling, Tale of Two Brains, and it's a full concert or seminar by him. It'll come through again. So as we finish talking, write that down and look at it, and you'll get some same advice you're getting here and more.
Exactly. He's really funny. Humor is a great way to share truth or to discuss things.
Now, I never leave a program without offering help. I never do. And Jeff, I know you're a pastor and I'm a pastor. So sometimes they think we're just spouting a sermon. We're not. In a simple way, just a very simple way, without talking any spiritual doxology or anything like that, or making them sing a song. What's the easiest way that they can know they're going to heaven and start working on their marriage? What do they have to do?
They have to realize that they're a sinner. God came for them, died for them on the cross, was raised again. And all we have to do is just ask God to come into our life and forgive us. And we have eternal life guaranteed. Everything changes. Your attitude will change. The surroundings will change. Your whole life is transformed. And it's not complicated. Sometimes we make it too complicated. Just ask Jesus to come in your heart, and he will. And then you're heaven bound, and you can begin to work on your life to make you more like Jesus. By like you mentioned, find a good church that you can be a part of, and you'll never look back.
So, let's just make this a little clear. Jeff, you've given us tips today on how to put fire into your marriage. Before they do that, if they don't know Jesus Christ, what do they have to do?
Well, I guess the best thing is, if they don't know Christ, is either contact a pastor, or just they can do it now after the show or during the show. Just ask Jesus to come in, and their life can change. And they can or can't tell their spouse. That's up to them, whatever the Holy Spirit tells them. But that's the way to get the really abundant life that God wants for them to have.
And I agree with that. Like I said earlier, I've seen people that try it different ways. They buy marriage books, they do all these other kind of things, and they don't work. Mm-hmm. Because they don't put Christ first in any program that they're doing. And Jeff has told you the truth. I know Jeff. I know his heart. I know what he does, what he did in our town, he's done in other towns, and everybody knows that Jeff is honest and sincere and tells the truth. Now, it's up to you to do the same exact thing, even tonight. As we go off air, just kneel by your couch or just bow your head and ask God to come into your heart. Or if you are going through that time where you need a booster shot and you're sort of fading away, ask God to come back in and boost you, get you on fire again. If you're on fire and you try those things we talked about, your marriage will be on fire too. Well, folks, we've come to the end of our program. I've enjoyed having Jeff on. Have you? If so, maybe we'll have him come back again and share some more tips with you. But for now, it's Dave Mathis, Lessons for Life, on the Abundant TV Network, saying, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye now.